Welcome to the Wings and Bancor joint M&A. We are welcome everyone who is watching us or will be watching us later on. My name is Stas, and from the Wings Foundation, I'm the core dev and the biz dev guy. With me is Sebastian, my partner at Wings Foundation, who is our project and product lead. And we have with us a special guest, Guy from the Bancor Foundation. Hi, Guy.
Hi, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming up. So, as probably everyone knows, we have just unwrapped 2 days ago this exciting collaboration which we've been working for quite some time together with Bancor about bringing all the Wings community value for the Bancor upcoming ICO. We got a lot of positive response for it. We're very happy that it's already started doing positive noise even before we started the actual discovery and the process run. And we're only looking forward in order for this once it will start working, positively boosting the Bancor ICO and making sure it will be an event to remember. So we again would like to thank Bancor Foundation for letting us this opportunity, being our, let's say, the alpha, the prime project to start the Wings launch. And we look forward in order to see how it will serve the best Bancor ICO. So a bit of information about Wings for those who might have been tracking us lately and about maybe who didn't see this, is basically Wings became a platform which enables projects and companies to perform something called a discovery process. And by discovery process, we mean basically getting to the answer how they can optimize their RCO. Basically, what they can discover in order to make the RCO a success. So this can be, for example, how much money they need to raise in order to get it. It can be how many tokens they need to give for at these specific stages in order to get to their goals. It can be how can they no problem, please. It can be how can they get the maximum amount of users from and we basically enabling this by letting Wings users, which we call the Wings community, to evaluate and forecast on various ICO's project parameters. And when they do this forecasting, they also have a chance to spread it to their social circles. So in a nutshell, we enable people not only to do some kind of evaluation of opportunities, but then also work to present those valuations, those opinions to the world, to their closest circles, and to their closest friends, families, and their cryptocurrency peers, and then convince them why they think the project will be quality one. We believe it creates a very resonating effect. We believe that it will basically make people even more looking in order to both provide their opinions on various projects and then push those opinions and send them to their closest circles. We believe it will raise the awareness about the projects, and we think it will give a great value to the projects themselves, because then they will start engaging a community. And today we already have quite a big community. We have over 10,000 Wings token holders, and it's the number just increasing. This will enable activating this community at the early stage in actual getting a free promotion, free marketing, which can be very important in order to get already start to differentiate from the from all the noise, and increasing the signal to noise ratio. So this is basically what we're aiming to do with Wings. Sebastian, if you have anything to add, you're welcome. And if not, then
you pretty much got it covered, I think. Awesome. So, Guy, I think everyone would love to hear some more about Bancor. So we would be more than delighted to get a review of Bancor. What is it? What exactly is Bancor? And that's it.
Great. So I'm assuming that I'm going to give the description of Bancor to an audience that's already familiar with cryptocurrencies. We meet all kinds of people, and sometimes we we tend to forget that there's this bubble around us where everybody seems to know cryptocurrency, but most of the world is not yet familiar with this. So we've learned that we need to message in different ways in front of different people. But the way that we think of Bancor is that we set out to solve a problem that was preventing cryptocurrencies from going mass market, and this is, number one, making them accessible to regular, everyday people, right? So, you know, my mom can't use cryptocurrencies today. She doesn't know how to keep her private key safe. And 99.99% of the people out there are not on blockchain. And there's a number of different barriers that are preventing people from doing this. A second problem that you have in cryptocurrencies are that there is an issue with liquidity. A currency is obviously of limited value if it is not liquid and convertible to other currencies. So today, the solution that we have for liquidity is we rely on exchanges and market makers, speculators, who provide the liquidity with the bid and ask, and this is how we exchange currencies, and this is how we've been exchanging currencies for hundreds of years. The challenge with this is that Bancor set out to unlock the long tail of user-generated currency. We envision a world where there will be millions of currencies, a currency in every community, in every town, a currency for different instant messaging groups, for different Facebook groups, the currencies for different groups of friends, for different interests, project tokens, protocol tokens, and the current solution for currency exchange cannot scale to accommodate this because it requires really listing on an exchange in order for your currency to be liquid. So we actually created the Bancor protocol to solve what is called the double coincidence of wants problem in currency exchange. And it's this big fancy sounding term, but all it really means is that it's very hard to find two people with opposite wants, right? So imagine barter. I come with my carrots, you come with your tomatoes. It's a very rare coincidence of circumstances that we have exactly what the other person wants. Now, my co-founder Eyal is coming in. He's going to join us in a second. Of course, we've invented money, and people invented money, and this solves the double coincidence of wants for barter because one person can buy now and another person can sell later. You could even say that there's a double coincidence of wants in human communication. Right? Before the invention of writing, if two people wanted to exchange information, they had to meet in the same place in real time. One person had to want to talk, the other person had to want to listen, and that's how they exchanged information. Writing is a technological solution to the double coincidence of wants in human communication, because now Socrates can write something thousands of years ago and I can read it today. The problem with currencies are that we have a double coincidence of wants in currency and asset exchange. So, there's no money for money. So if I want to change my dollars to yen, or I want to change my Bitcoin to Ether, or my Gnosis to Augur, or even my Apple shares to dollars, right? I need a double coincidence of wants. I need somebody on the other side that wants the opposite of what I want. Now this works okay.
At the same time.
Yeah, and at the same time, of course, right? And now this works okay for the biggest of currencies, right? Euro, dollar, there's going to be very little spread, or maybe even Bitcoin, Ether, although the spread is not so small. But this solution doesn't work when you're talking about a long tail, because you're going to have millions of currencies. You're going to have a lot of small cap currencies, $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 currencies. You're never going to find all the people to provide the liquidity and make all the different kind of combinations between them, right? So long as you have this barrier to liquidity, so long as you have a double coincidence of wants in asset exchange, you're not going to be able to unlock the long tail of user-generated currency. And why is it so exciting to even unlock this long tail? So, one of the lessons that my fellow co-founders and I learned very painfully over the years building companies is that we had a company called MetaCafe, which was the largest video sharing site on the internet. Maybe some of you who are older remember it, but we had 50 million users. We raised $70 million in capital. We were actually the biggest video sharing site on the internet. Here. Eyal is here.
Welcome, Eyal, everyone, and this is Eyal on the Bancor.
Yeah, so I hear a little bit of an echo. Maybe mute yourself for a moment, Eyal. Okay, that sounds a lot better. So I'll just finish your story, Eyal. It's more your story than mine. Eyal was the founder of MetaCafe, and you know, MetaCafe, even though we had 50 million users coming every day, every month, excuse me, we showed you the best videos on the internet. You could find the best ones, the most popular ones. But YouTube really focused on the long tail. You know, YouTube made it very easy for millions of people to upload the cat playing the piano, the Bitcoin videos that are very niche ultimately in the world, right? And it's all this combination of little videos that form this long tail. And it turns out that the long tail is 2 to 3 orders of magnitude bigger than the hits, right? So if you take today, you know, just staying with this example of YouTube, take the 1,000 most popular videos on YouTube, right? The Katy Perry's, the Justin Bieber's of the world, right? Those ones that have 1 billion hits each, add them all up together, and it's not even going to be 0.1% of the traffic on YouTube. You're going to see that almost all of the traffic is in the long tail, you know. And so we missed that lesson back in MetaCafe. We had a lot of time to reflect on it. When we discovered Bitcoin in 2011, the first thing we told ourselves was, wow, this is the greatest thing we've ever seen, right? This is user-generated money. There is going to be a long tail. And when somebody finally figures out how to unlock the long tail, and that's our mission here at Bancor, then, you know, if the current market cap of cryptocurrencies is $100 billion, I think there's trillions of dollars of unrealized potential in the long tail. But in order to do that, we've got to solve the liquidity barrier. We've got to figure out how to connect all these currencies to each other with a technological solution, not a labor-based solution, the way that exchanges offer today. And we've got to make it so seamless and easy to use the blockchain that, you know, my mother, my little sister, kind of just, you know, non-technical people, non-cryptocurrency geeks can use it the way that they use Facebook, the way that they use WhatsApp. And then in the background, if all kinds of blockchain type stuff are happening, that's got to be completely transparent to the user. So that's our mission here at Bancor. And as we go through this AMA, we'll kind of dig more into that. We'll talk to you about how we solve the double coincidence of wants and asset exchange. We'll show you a little bit of our platform. We'll actually give you a sneak peek into the MVP itself before we launch it in a couple of days, and mostly just try to answer as many of your questions as possible.
Awesome.
Guys, thanks for the long introduction. I believe now many people who are watching this are much better understand what Bancor is all about. I certainly learn something new every time I hear the explanation. You know, it's not it's a concept that a bit especially for the, you know, first comers, it's a bit difficult to understand. But when it's explained in such way, it clicks a lot of stuff. And I guess it's also because many of us are so, you know, accustomed to the current way the financial systems are working. It takes some effort, you know, to switch, which actually seems like what happened with Bitcoin. It took quite a lot of time to many people, and it still takes a lot of time to many people to change the mindset. I mean, from I will keep all the money in the bank, and I will use a credit company or whatever to use it to, I can be now my own bank. So basically, Bancor takes it one step further, and I believe that once people will realize the potential of it, it will have a profound effect, which will basically change a lot of things like Bitcoin changed at that time. So going next to this stuff, Eyal, so you basically got the introduction also by Guy. If you have anything that you want to add, you're welcome. Okay.
Oh, by the way, there's a good note. We actually plan to integrate Bancor and Bancor type ICOs into the Wings platform. So project creators will be able to actually use a Bancor type contract when creating their project. I think this is the high.
Yeah, and just
go ahead.
Yeah, and just maybe to clarify, because I know we haven't gone into the details of what exactly is a Bancor-enabled token, but the term we use for a Bancor-compatible token, or a token that uses the Bancor protocol, is we call them smart tokens. There's actually a new standard that we're creating called EIP 228, and these are ERC20 compatible tokens running on the Ethereum blockchain. But unlike regular tokens, these tokens have built-in intrinsic functionality. So one of the most important kind of pillars of this functionality is that they are able to handle their own liquidity and price discovery. meaning a smart token does not need to be listed on an exchange in order to be liquid. It always has liquidity. And we'll go into the mechanisms on how that works a little bit later, but it basically leverages the fact that for the first time in history, we have smart contracts, right, or since 2015. And so this means we essentially have decentralized, immutable software code that can hold other programmable software. Or if I digital money as software, I can say it's the first time we have decentralized, immutable money that can hold other programmable money. And this allows us to kind of reimagine some of the most fundamental paradigms that are part of currency exchange. And so what we plan to do together with Wings, and we're really excited about this because we're optimistic that there's going to be many projects launching on your platform, is that when you launch on the Wings platform, you'll have one more option for the type of token you can launch. You can launch a regular token, it's fine, it's legitimate, but you can also launch a smart token. And if you choose to launch a smart token, then there's all kinds of additional functionality that you get built into your token, such as this intrinsic liquidity, but other things that we'll cover during this AMA, which we think are very important for very specific, certain use cases, such as delegated account recovery. This is basically our built-in feature to handle the lost password problem, right? I mean, I think that this by itself is just this is a barrier to mass adoption of blockchain. I mean, my mother messages me every other week to tell me, to help me reset her password for her Gmail. So until there's a solution to handle lost passwords, we're not going to see mass adoption. And we'll go into some other cool stuff like integrated vault. If anybody's ever used Coinbase or one of those services, you know how kind of the vault functionality works. Except here there is the ability to have an integrated intrinsic vault built into the token itself. And this is another security mechanism that will enable the mass adoption of blockchain, because the price of having your password stolen, not lost, but in this case stolen, or your computer hacked, suddenly goes way down because you can have most of your money locked away in the vault and not accessible to somebody who somehow gets access to your private key. So this is just kind of an example of some of the functionality that we're building into the smart token standard, which we call the Bancor protocol. And all of this is intended to facilitate the process of allowing for the mass adoption of blockchain, which I think is something that we all want, we all have a vested interest in, not only because we've been in blockchain for a long time, but because we believe blockchain can help change the world for the better. But it's not going to happen until it reaches the other 99.9% of folks that are still out there. And so that's our focus with Bancor, to build those building blocks that are necessary to facilitate a wider adoption of this really revolutionary technology.
Awesome. I'd like to hear a few words about well, the valuation that you're doing on Wings. How do you find that useful? What are you looking to get from it?
So I'm going to turn that over to you.
So we've been talking to you guys for a long time about this industry and about the new options that open and how things are different. The whole idea of wisdom of the crowd, I think, is very exciting to us. Even in our field, maybe that's where the concept of wisdom of the crowd has been used in practice for a long time, because we are doing stuff like price discovery and this is something that exchanges were doing traditionally, and the whole idea of price discovery is to take a very large group of people that hold the currency or want to hold the currency, and essentially create some kind of I would say election, and in that or voting, and in that process, the result is the price of that specific stock or cryptocurrency. and you can see the movement of people's sentiment toward that particular asset over time. And as they say, the fundamental analysis is something you can interpret it, but the technical analysis is something that never lies, because it's really based on the input of so many different independent agents kind of integrated into one single curve. And we think that just in the same way that you use the crowds in order to facilitate the price, we think that it's a very good idea to get those indicators from so many people on how they see your specific venture potential, what are the kind of strong points that they see, what are the weaknesses they detect, and what is the kind of the entire crowd. So we're very excited about this prospect. We never saw anything like that happens in the real world. Having been an entrepreneur for 20 years, I can tell you that people are doing a lot of guesswork, trying to say, oh, these guys, they're going to raise money, or these guys, they're not going to be able to raise money, and how much they're going to raise, because this is something for speculation. But for the first time, we see a real system that kind of take this input and produce something valuable out of it, and allow real process of prediction to take place with no built-in bias. So we're very excited to see the result of that and to work together.
Awesome. We are very happy that you guys see the value. We believe that other companies will do, and we actually have quite a lot that we see that want to work with us, that talk to us. And by the way, we actually also started telling them about our future support of Bancor for ICO contracts. I mean, for example, even today, we had a meeting with a very exciting company, which is going to use Wings for example, and they very like the idea of using Bancor reserve technology for their own ICO and for the unique mechanism. And I think they actually bring you guys a totally new use case, which you still haven't even considered above. And I believe it's just starting. We won't be surprised if this actually this quite revolutionary way which we create the smart token, the Bancor system, will be one of the most popular used ways for the ICOs and futures. Just because it gives so much, tunes the whole problem of that we see in the ICOs today, like lacks of liquidity, like lacks of exchanges where you can trade the tokens, like creating some reserves that basically solves all the problems around. And we believe it will take quite a lot of volume. So the other point which I understand that we wanted to discuss is actually how the future integration of the Bancor's ICOs in the Wings will be. Sebastian, or there's something that we discussed already?
Actually, yeah, we discussed that already. I think we can dive into some of the questions. We have quite a few interesting questions. This is a question from the YouTube chat, and it's actually a very interesting question. So the question is, what industries do you feel Bancor will disrupt the most?
That's a very good question. I think that in the immediate sense, I don't think that there is one particular industry that will be disrupted in the immediate sense. I think that in the long term, there may be disruption. Again, I give an example of when YouTube came out, it didn't hurt TVs immediately. It took many years, and I think they after 10 years maybe they're starting to feel something. But in fact, in the beginning, it was good for TV because there's so much more content that people produce that TVs can actually leverage and show them TV, and it made TV more interesting in the beginning. So I think that in the same way, Bancor is providing a new method for converting one form of cryptocurrency to another, but it's it's a new technology. It's gonna take a while for people to kind of move more and more of the business that we conduct today onto that platform. And in the beginning, it will actually do great service for existing exchanges, and because it will allow thousands, if not 100,000s of more or assets to exist and to give birth and to gain popularity. And those assets can be traded in exchanges. It's very important to kind of understand that smart token is ERC-20 compliant, so it can be traded in any exchange just like a regular token, just like any other cryptocurrency. It doesn't need to be traded in an exchange in order to kind of have price discovery and liquidity. It's an optional thing. So just like it's okay for a token to be traded in a single exchange, and people will manage. It's okay for a token to be traded in several exchanges, and then you have more forces that kind of comes in like a arbitrage and have. So I think on the long term there is some potential disruption to exchanges and maybe different kind of service providers around that ecosystem. But on the short term, I think it's just making the entire industry stronger.
All right, so the D10E, we saw the Bernard Litter's presentation, and he had a slide there that said Bancor protocol due to value what internet did to data. And I think, my opinion, in terms of what industries Bancor will disrupt, I agree with you that it's almost impossible to say today what industries that will disrupt. It's very similar to asking this question when the internet came out, what industries the internet will disrupt. And it was something that was very hard to answer at the time. Today we see this disrupted everything. Awesome, let's go continue to the next question. So this one is from Reddit. And the question is, what kind of smart token explorer will be available for these hierarchical currencies? Yeah, I think you're muted.
Okay, so the explorer that we have is actually where we put most of our work. And this is the user experience, the user interface. First of all, everyone is welcome to go right now to app.bancor.network in order to kind of watch. I'll put it on the chat, but it's just for them. In order to kind of see our bounty program is using our own interface. And I can share the screen. Yeah, I'm gonna show it. So the thing with our bounty program is that we use our own. They call it eat your own dog food.
Mm-hmm.
And we use our own system in order to run our bounty program, where every bounty program is this ERC-20 token. And those are sent to every bounty hunter as and you can see. Can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if we look at just an example at the translation bounties, how a community with a token looks like. So you can see that this is like the welcome page, and there are explanation about how you can earn this token, and what language and what kind of pieces of material still need translation. And all of that can be found here. And I can see the members, and this is the members that join this specific bounty program. But like every other group in this system, it has a token. And I can see, this is the symbol of the token, and whether this token is traded or not yet. So this token is still not traded. It hasn't been activated yet, but it can be transferred. I can see the current supply, who is the admin of the community, and I can see every transaction and why, for what, whether it's a white paper translation to Hindi. We have a Hindi version of the white paper. And here you can see all. No, I just learned about it right now. But this is this is very fresh. It's actually from today. And not only that, I have my discussion. Every community has discussions that they can have about, all kind of the different translation in this case, and users can comment in those discussions. Now, if I'll go to my own profile, and again, this is live on mainnet. This is not just some demo, or we actually use it every day. Which is, how you grow a product. We had to tell people not to send us Ether to that address because, I can connect my Facebook and my Twitter, enter all my information. But again, the interesting thing is to see my wallet, where I have a multi-currency wallet. So as you can see, I was not very active in the bounty program, but I still member, so I have those wallets, and I would see transaction here if I had some. So every member in the bounty programs can have his own wallet and currencies, and those currencies, smart tokens. When we complete the fundraiser, we would simply put Bancor network token in the reserves of those currencies and make them with 100% CRR, by the way. So it's like there's no price discovery. There's just 100% backing, and that would allow any of those currency holders to convert their currencies to BNT seamlessly, essentially, and use it everywhere. So those tokens will be connected to the Bancor network as it initialized, and provide great prices for the bounty hunters that did all that work. They found amazing bugs. They wrote amazing content. This is one of the best things to do for us, is just to go to this content bounty and just look at the memes that people are posting. And it's a lot of creativity unleashed to the world. And
yeah, the community around Bancor is amazing.
We love it, and we think that it's so amazing that today, using not just the internet, but the ability to kind of share the success of the project even before it's launched, because that's the meaning of the bounty program. You give your community a share of everything they work on, so they're not just kind of working for salary or for an hourly salary, but they are actually becoming partners of this entire thing. And we think that it's just amazing to see how blockchain is used for stuff that we could never imagine when we just discovered about it and learned about it, in 2011, and we're so happy to take part of that. Now, this interface is something that we use today, but we constantly upgrading it, and we can we can later on show how we can use the next version in which you can create your own token and create your own community and manage it. And so this is kind of taking this whole concept to the next level and allowing everyone to be creative and think about how he can use the tool of currency, because this is what it is. It's a great tool. It's a tool for mass collaboration, and trying to provide the simplest way to access this tool of mass collaboration called currency, solving everything, solving the tough problem like liquidity, making it simple, security, making it easy to use, and as well as accessible by integrating with chatbots like Facebook Messenger and Telegram and WeChat, and really doing everything that we learn how to do in order to build a product that really anyone can use, and not just crypto geeks.
Well, it looks amazing.
It certainly seems as bringing a new standard to the bounty world. I mean,
Absolutely.
the bounty system, we built our own bounty system, which we use for wings, but this one something looks. I can see it being utilized in other stuff.
Okay, so next question is also from Reddit, and it's it's a very good question. Who are Bancor's main competitors, and how do you plan on competing in this rapidly changing open source environment where basically any platform can be copied and improved upon?
Okay, so this is something that many people are asking. It's very interesting to kind of see because this is something new that wasn't before. Because every company would be just everything was, all the code was closed, and it was much harder to kind of copy someone's work. And here, in this new industry, it becomes so easy. And I think this is the reason that, shortly after Bitcoin has gained its initial success, what we saw hundreds, if not thousands of people taking the code and say, oh my God, this is such an amazing product, and all the code is open. I'm just going to take the code. I'm going to call it my own shitcoin, and I'll have a Bitcoin of my own, and I'll market it. And it's actually quite amazing. It seems to me like people are still doing it today. It's quite remarkable. But guess what? None of them was successful. Now, maybe that surprised them, but I have to tell you that it never surprised me. And the reason that it never surprised me is because the known thing in the industry of end user products, that in order to replace an existing incumbent, like a successful product that is already out in the market, you need to provide something which is not slightly better. You need to provide something which is 10 times better. That's okay. You need to provide something which really provide much higher value for the end user comparing to what's out there right now. And you can argue that Litecoin tried to do that, but that was not enough. The only real, I would say, alternative that provided something that is meaningfully better than Bitcoin, I think, was Ethereum, because they really provide some kind of a smart contract system that they were, I like to call it the difference between a feature phone and a smartphone. So, you cannot write software for a feature phone, even though it's the most amazing thing in the world. It changed the world, and you have those SMSs, and everyone was using it, and it was a big hit, but there's nothing like smartphone, which is a platform for developers. And this is really what Ethereum has brought to the table successfully so far. And that's why I think we're seeing or getting close to what some people have been calling the flippening of cryptocurrency. And we've seen that before. We've seen that happening when Friendster was not able to scale, and then MySpace kind of taking over the world, becoming like the fifth biggest video, social network in the world, and they didn't take the right decision, which left room for Facebook to take their place as the primary social network, West at least. And we've seen, we've seen those transitions before. We've seen those transitions with browser, but every time there is a new technology, it needs to be much better. So I think that everyone that working with open source, and again, examples can be MySQL. I met the CEO a few years ago before I got into space. Figure out how did they sold the company for $1 billion, the open source. So it's not intuitive for many people to understand the power of open sourcing and how much it's hard to just copycat and try to compete with you that way. That's very, very almost impossible. You really need to kind of innovate. And on the other hand, I think that open sourcing code is something that is very, very beneficial to all parties. Users feel much better with it, much more secure, and it forces the developer, the company who produced the product, it forces them to behave. Because if the developers is not building the right product for the user, is not kind of focusing 100% on how do I make the best product for the user, then it will be forked. And they know it. And because they know it, they will not do things that are not for the best, in the best interest of the users.
Well, I think that also obviously cooperation is always better than competition, but competition also many times fuels innovation. And sometimes it's good. It's good for us. I mean, we have, like you said, different types of cryptocurrencies, but I think that we are in a state today where a lot of the innovation occurred because of these currencies that may have failed, but they opened the pathway for those that haven't. So I don't see competition as a problem, but maybe even as an opportunity for.
I think competition is great, and I think that again, Ethereum, I think, is a great example. Look, it opened the door for us to do what we do. We couldn't have done it on Bitcoin. So definitely,
Exactly.
Definitely, it's a great thing. And I was commenting specifically on the kind of the ability to compete by copying the code and the dynamics of that. However, I don't think there are many direct competitors today that we can point to, because I think that Bancor is kind of a new concept that still kind of many people don't even understand what we're trying to do, given that it kind of takes something that was done in the same way for a long, long time. But right now, I think that we are, we don't have a lot of competitors, but we will see more and more ideas out there. And again, we hope that in the world of blockchain, there's something very, very interesting that is happening that I think we have not fully sensed its effect quite yet. But the way that we find it is that all those competitors are essentially working on the same database. They are using the same user base. And in that sense, they're almost building the same application. If you have the same database, the same user base, the same currencies that everyone can use because they're built in a standard way. So there's a lot of cooperation with this competition, and almost you can imagine people choosing their own flavor of experience that they want to use to access perhaps the same assets So that's very interesting to see how it will fold out and how will competition would look in the age of many, many different companies that share the same database, which is the same blockchain.
Mhm. I was actually saying this before you joined us, this guy, that when I understood the Bancor completely, for me it was a bit similar to what happened when I understood what Bitcoin is. I mean, it was quite hard to understand, not specifically maybe because it's too technical or too complex, but because you just adjusted to think in particular way. And just when you do the switch, then you exactly understand how how much there is potential to change the mechanics as we do. And I believe that Bancor has also those same dynamics, like Bitcoin changes the way people pay and store value. Ethereum changes right now the way how people creating and decentralizing application and companies. I believe Bancor will change the way how exactly we treat finance, how we basically work with financial instruments, and how we basically solving the problem of value, how we transfer value, the double coincidence bonds. I believe that's something which will have a very wild changes. We already see how many applications there are which can apply to this approach.
Yeah.
Sebastian?
Yeah. Okay, so let's continue to the next question. So we have also from Reddit. It's does the Bancor protocol require smart contracts to use BNT as one of the reserve tokens? I'm assuming that the question is referring if it's mandatory. If not, does the value of BNT rely entirely on the optimal inclusion of BNT as one of the reserve currencies? Optional, I'm going to call it, not optional, not optimal.
Can you hear me, guys? Great. So, first of all, it's important to understand that Bancor BNT is really the first network token. So as opposed to a platform token, the purpose of Bancor is actually to be held in reserve by other tokens. It's a token that connects other tokens, or money that holds money. And so the first target that we have is actually what we call the long tail of user-generated currencies. So these are people that are going to come in and create a currency for their community, a complementary currency, a local currency, a loyalty points program for a group of small businesses, a currency for a group of friends, right? So usually these are either location-based or the other vertical is kind of interest-based currencies. And the way they'll do this is they'll just use our chatbot. They'll answer a few questions. We think that chatbots are a fantastic interface for kind of what we like conversational interfaces for any process-driven task. And so by the end of a few questions, you have a token. Now, in the process of creating your smart token, by default, Bancor is the reserve token for your smart token. So you can't change this. It's built in to the typical user. They don't even need to know what's happening behind the scenes. Just like you drive your car, you don't necessarily have to know how the pistons are working, how the fuel injection works. You know, you have a wheel, gas, and brake, and you get from A to B. So in the same way, we expect the typical Bancor user who's using the Bancor service, which is you saw before, it's not required for them to understand how the whole mechanism of the Bancor protocol works. The bottom line is they know that they create a currency, they can do a crowdfunding with their currency, they can seed the reserve with some of the currency in what we call a CRR, and their currency is instantly liquid and tradable to the whole world. Behind the scenes, what's happening is that Bancor, BNT, is actually being used as the reserve currency for that token, for that smart token. And the effect that it has is that because the only way to buy a smart token is by sending its reserve currency to its smart contract, which results in the smart contract issuing the token. Right? So the smart contract acts as a kind of automated market maker, or you think about it as like a kind of private, decentralized central bank. The effect that this has is that if you have a community currency in India, which is of course using Bancor as its reserve token, and this community currency is successful, and the entrepreneur who's pushing it forward has built a great local currency, and maybe there's a few hundred small businesses that are offering discounts for it. The adoption of that currency is going to result in an increased demand for Bancor. because you're going to need to buy Bancor in order to buy that local currency. Now, to the end user, again, this will be seamless. The end user will, they'll want to buy a local currency. They'll see that there's a local currency for 100 rupees or whatever it is, and they'll use a credit card or a debit card, seamlessly buy it the way you use your credit card in the UK, and you're from the US. You don't really need to know that behind the scenes your dollars are being converted for pounds, and your pounds are being. So in the same way, it'll be completely seamless to the end user. But the bottom line is that the success of any one of these local currencies or complementary currencies drives more adoption for Bancor, and it actually benefits everybody else with Bancor. So the success of that currency in India is benefiting the complementary currency in South America. They're all acting as a network. Essentially, you can say that Bancor encapsulates the network effect of all of these currencies. So this is kind of the first use for BNT, to be the reserve currency in the long tail of user-generated tokens. Interesting use case for BNT, which I have to admit is a bit of an accident. We stumbled into this. This wasn't part of the original plan. We were very focused on finding a solution to the liquidity barrier, and that's why we came up with this concept of a very simple building block of money being able to hold other money in reserve. But we found in the process, and this is kind of a normal part of the exploratory nature of a startup, that if you hold one currency in the reserve, why not hold two currencies in reserve or multiple currencies in reserve? If you have a CRR of 10% or 15% or any kind of fractional CRR, which essentially means you're creating new credit, or like new credit, right? I mean, every altcoin, if you think about it, is new credit, right? Golem has $400 million market cap. It's not that 400 million US dollars were transferred into Golem, and then you got these $400 million of Golem, right? So this generated credit out of thin air. You could say that Golem has a CRR of 0%. But if I put for a second to the side the use case of creating new credit with Bancor, we realized you also had an interesting use case for not creating new credit. Because if I create a smart token, and let's say I'm holding two tokens in reserve, and each of them has a reserve of 50%, so two CRRs of 50%, right? So a total of 100%. I haven't created any new credit, but I've done something else that's pretty cool. I've actually created a smart token, which is really an index fund. It's a decentralized ETF.
Exactly.
It's a decentralized ETF that we know about, because this is a way for you to hold an index fund or a basket of currencies directly without a middleman. Like happens today. And as we started unraveling that and kind of unpacking it, we started to understand that there's some really cool use cases for the Bancor protocol that we hadn't considered. So one of them is this concept of a decentralized ETF or index fund. Smart token that has the top 20 ERC20 tokens in its reserve, right? Or I can make one that's an index fund of all the prediction markets, because I don't know if Golem, if Gnosis is going to succeed or if Augur is going to succeed, but I know that prediction markets are going to be huge, so I'm just going to make a bet on all of them. So you can start building all of this stuff, and in the interface that Eyal was showing before, and using our chat bots, you can actually build your own ETFs, right? So anybody can just answer questions a little bit differently and put together whatever ETF they want. So that's one thing. But then another use case for this kind of similar model is I can create what we call a token changer. So a token changer, and again, I'll go back to the example I gave, token, and I have two tokens in reserve, and one of them is Gnosis and one of them is Augur. Now, in this case, what I've essentially done is, because a smart token can be purchased for any one of its reserve tokens, and it can be liquidated for any one of its reserve tokens. Imagine now I come in and I send Gnosis to the smart contract. I get this smart token. I send the smart token back to the smart contract. It liquidates it, and I say, now give me Augur. And of course, this all happens with a single click, right? But just in terms of the process that's happening, I've just converted Gnosis to Augur, not only with no counterparty risk, but with no counterparty. The trade didn't happen with another person. The trade happened with a smart contract. Now, the consequence of doing this asynchronously versus synchronously, like happens on an exchange, whether it's a decentralized exchange or a centralized exchange, they're still based on the same fundamental bid and ask mechanism, is that a smart token has a different price to every one of its reserve currencies. So when I add Gnosis to the reserve of the smart token, I've changed the price of the smart token to Gnosis. And when I pull out Augur from the smart token's reserve, I also change the price of the smart token to Augur. And so what's happening there is if you ever get a situation where the prices within the smart tokens don't match the prices in the market outside, it's like when two different when prices don't match on two different exchanges. I've now created an arbitrage opportunity. And so what's going to happen there is arbitrage bots are going to come and they're going to say, oh, look, I got some cheap Augur in this contract and I'm going to buy it. And they'll quickly even out the prices and serve as a kind of decentralized oracles that are always balancing the prices. So just one more thing before I pass it back to you guys. What's really cool about this is, we described the scenario of somebody that wants to hold a smart token because they want to hold really an index fund and hedge. We described the scenario where somebody wants to, use a smart token to have a token changing services and convert one token to another. But there's another third interesting use case for the token changer, which is, let's say I want to buy this smart token just to provide liquidity for all the people that want to provide do these conversions, right? So by holding the smart token and setting a fee, for example, on the conversion process. So every time you convert your Gnosis to Augur or your Augur to Gnosis, I'm going to charge you, whatever, 0.02. I'll undercut all the exchanges because I don't have an order book to manage. I don't have to take possession of your funds. I don't have staff. It's all automated. And now every time that somebody's using this exchange service with the liquidity I've provided by holding this smart token, I'm earning a piece of those fees, right? So you can imagine thousands and thousands of people all becoming pro rata owners in their own mini Kraken of sorts. And together, we anticipate that over time, the market depth, the liquidity in these token changers will surpass that of even some of the biggest exchanges, because you really have thousands of people coming together to provide this liquidity. And this entire category of thinking around decentralized ETFs, decentralized token changers, using multiple reserves, having 100% CRR. This is part of the exploratory process that happens in a lot of startups. And so it's not what we originally set out to do, but I think it's become one of the more exciting use cases for Bancor protocol.
Yeah, absolutely. I entirely agree. The whole decentralized exchange concept, I mean, it's something that people have been talking about for ages, but we haven't seen many. And now we just get it, right, with Bancor. It's just sit there. It's going to be extremely exciting to see it actually.
It's going to solve one of the biggest problems any company do national has, how they actually provide the liquidity. And
that's out of the box, right?
Yeah, and hopefully different projects that are going to be building on the Wings platform, or different projects that come to our interface and others will decide, the future augurs, the future golems, right? These future protocol and project tokens will hopefully choose EIP 228 and have used the smart token standard for the creation of their token, because they'll see the great benefit that it provides to all of their users by having this intrinsic liquidity and price discovery. But I can tell you that already today, we've had dozens of upcoming projects and token sales come to us, not for their token yet, because we're going to be the first to do this, and people need to see that it works with us before they'll be comfortable adopting it, but for their bounty programs, because we use smart tokens in our bounty programs. So like Eyal was showing you before, if you earn the translation bounty tokens, they're automatically converting into BNT at the end of the crowdfunding. So it's not like we're just keeping some numbers on a Google sheet and then we send you the tokens. You're actually taking possession of real tokens today that you can share, you can send, you can split them between friends if you work together on a project. And so I think that because people never thought of their bounty programs as actual tokens, we found that this is maybe a good entryway to collaborate with a lot of the different blockchain startups and to offer them the smart token standard for their bounty program and let people get comfortable with kind of some interesting initial use cases for these smart tokens.
That's amazing. So let's continue to the next question. Also from Reddit, will the Bancor platform, apart from letting me create smart tokens, let me somehow promote it to make other users use my smart token as part of their CRR?
So this is part of plan. Can you? So this is part of our plan, which is to use the Bancor network token in order to provide on our service on Bancor.network. And so, for example, one of the things that you do is if you want to set up any smart token that is kind of advanced smart token that is maybe ETF that hold different things, and it doesn't hold the Bancor network token in reserve. So we would give the option to do that, but it will cost. It will have a monthly service fee that is paid with the Bancor network token in order to kind of have us kind of manage the entire thing. Another thing that we are thinking in that regard is that if someone want to create any kind of token, and you can think that token can be used in that case for stuff that in Kickstarter today, that's a $30 billion industry of people that actually pretty familiar with the experience of sending their money the way of a stranger that they never met, and in order to support a project they believe in. So we think that there's a lot of potential there. And obviously a lot of people that are coming with this kind of project will want to be able to promote them. So we think that using the Bancor network token as the token that you need to pay with when you put your own community, your own token, your own fundraiser, is obviously something that would be beneficial for the entire community, of holders of Bancor network token, because it would provide more resources for the foundation that kind of push forward the development and the marketing of Bancor. It will provide more resources and the ability to do more stuff. So we're thinking about these kinds of models in respect to how to allow to promote different tokens. And of course, everyone should kind of use their own channels. I think that we are living in a world that you can do a pretty good job with your Facebook and Twitter and friends and retweets and shares on Facebook. So if someone is building something cool, I'm sure that they'll get a lot of organic traffic to his smart token as well.
Awesome. So another question from Reddit is a request to elaborate on the 20% allocation to partnerships, community grants, and public bounties.
Basically, we're very excited about what we see with the current bounty program. That if you sum up the numbers that are being allocated there is much smaller than 20, and we believe that bounty programs and partnership is our ability, or probably our best option, our best way to collaborate with third parties. So I'll give you an example. If we have some kind of a cooperation, some kind of a partnership, I can compensate you by providing a vested package of Bancor network tokens. So that would mean that you will get a smart contract. Through a smart contract, you will get over the next 2 years linearly a specific sum of Bancor network token. Now, what that does do is actually creating a vested interest for the other party to make sure that the value of BNT stays high. So it's aligning the interests of people in the different groups toward the same thing. We were very impressed by the stuff the community did before the fundraiser, and we are looking forward to kind of see the new things. For example, it was very effective bug finding because people were really scanning, running scanners on our software, looking from every conceivable browser that I actually didn't know exist. No, so it was tested from so many angles and so many ways that we felt that it was really valuable for us. And what I think that it means is we want to keep running those kind of products. We think that the distribution of BNT to as many people as possible is critical. So we're looking for more ways to distribute BNT rather than selling it to those who participate in the fundraiser. We want to be able to distribute it for work, for effort, for talent, for success, for partnership. I would call this 20% further distribution to people that provide something different than money, as the other one as distribution is. So that's more or less how we view the bounty program and partnership and the use of that particular bucket.
That makes perfect sense from a business perspective. I think it's very smart to do it. Okay, guys. So, well, I think we're gonna redirect everyone to Reddit to continue writing their questions, and we can reply. You will get your replies there in writing from the Bancor team. I will post a Reddit link. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Eyal, Guy, thank you so much. It's been awesome, and it's been awesome having you here, and it's been awesome to talk to you. Well, after this, we're going to be actually starting the Bancor forecasting valuation, discovery, promotion, and it's going to be very exciting for us. I hope Stasi can provide us with a review of that, or how that will work.
Sure. Guys, thank you for joining us. We see you guys are a bit tired, holding for your fingers. We hope you will be able to, looking forward that you will have a great SEO, great results. And we're very excited to see it running, and we're certainly we should get the best results possible.
Well, thank you for having us. We're very excited to launch this collaboration with you guys. I know that we've been working together for the last 6 months, learning from each other about what's happening in this space, and if we look a little bit dreary-eyed right now, I think that Eyal and I are going off a few weeks of 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night, and whenever we're not here, we're trying to talk to our community on our Slack and Telegram channels. So we appreciate you guys setting this up on kind of short-term notice, and very excited about moving from this phase to really seeing how the forecasting works out.
Thank you a lot. So from here we will demo a bit the upcoming discovery process. You're welcome to stay, or you will see this movie later once that will be uploaded to the recording. As I know you have stuff to attend and run with. We just would like.
Great.
Yeah, we just like to say that everybody. We just like to say that everyone are welcome to go to the Reddit and ask there any questions, and I'm sure that the Guy and Eyal will monitor it and provide answers once they see anything that is answerable. And we invite everyone who's tracking both once we're going to launch the forecasting version and the upcoming Bancor ICO. Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Awesome having you.
Okay, so now we will demonstrate the version which we will be up and running in the coming few hours from now on our site, which basically will show the process, how forecasting is performed on the Bancor process. I will now share my screen. Let's see, screen share. Okay, do you see my screen? The Bancor project?
No, we currently do not see your screen.
So with Hangout, sharing the window with Hangouts.com. Let's try again. Okay, can you see it now?
Not at the moment.
You know what? I know what we'll do. We will do maybe the entire screen. No, not good to capture. So again. There's some kind of problem with the screen sharing system, Google Hangouts. So I think what we're going to do is that we're going to record a short video showing how to actually do a forecast, showing the system, then we will post it to the YouTube as well. So people will have access to also visual guiding how to actually do the forecast, in addition to the blog post that we posted. And then people will be able to follow it very easily. And of course, if they will have any questions, they will go to our Slack and Telegram and support them.
Awesome. So everyone, we're having a small technical issue. So we will record a video of the forecasting process, post it. And if any questions, please ping us in Telegram, Slack. We will be more than happy to answer your questions. We hope to get that video up in no time, so should be very soon. Thank you all for participating. Thank you for being here. We're having an awesome community, and to the moon.
Awesome. We are looking forward to see everyone joining the forecasting for Bancor.
Absolutely.
Very excited. Thank you for watching us and participating, and have a great day, evening, or night.
Thank you, Stas.